Great. Okay, welcome back everybody. I don't really have much to say for this one because I'm just here basically to introduce Kate because now we're having our traditional ANZREG business session. So I'll hand it straight over to Kate Bardwell, who is the chair of our ANZREG committee. Over to you, Kate.
Thanks, Stacey. And well done, Stacey, on chairing that last session. I knew we gave the job to the right person because there was a lot of questions and polls and things going on.
It was great. It was a great session.
That was good. So hello again, everybody. So this is the slot where we cover official ANZREG business. It's always the most popular session by far. We really have to cover this business. It's in our constitution. But we did discuss how we were going to run an AGM in this environment, and we realised we didn't actually have anything that we needed to have votes on this year, luckily. So all I'm going to be doing is making sure you are connected with the committee. I'll be introducing our committee and then running through kind of activities that the committee's been involved in over the last year since our last conference. And then there'll be time at the end for questions. If the committee are able to turn on their videos, would be nice, because as I introduce them, would be nice if you can actually see the faces associated. So don't worry, committee, I won't put you on the spot because I didn't tell them I was going to do this. So. Okay, so just to start with, I just want to acknowledge 3 committee members who finished early this year. So we said farewell to Sue Harmer, Julie Wright and Megan Lee. So we lost a lot of institutional knowledge and experience when the 3 of those members left. So I think Sue's lurking in the background. So hi Sue, great that you've been able to connect today. Julie ended up retiring and Megan has actually left the tertiary sector, which, so quite a change for the committee. So we had to call for nominations from the community and we were looking for 2 new general members. We received 4 nominations, which was great to have that level of engagement from the community. So we had an election process. Unfortunately, the pandemic interrupted the time frame of our elections, so we had a little bit of a wait till we got our new members on board. So I'm very pleased to introduce our 2 new committee members, Rashan Thapa. He is currently Coordinator Discovery Services and Fulfilment at Charles Sturt University, and Rashan's giving a wee wave there. Thanks, Rashan. Rashan has also taken on the role of Program Coordinator on the committee, which was left vacant by Sue. I also want to welcome Rachel Selby, who is the Coordinator, Library Discovery and Platforms at La Trobe University. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, everyone.
So both Rachel and Rashan bring a real depth of experience and knowledge of ex libris products to the committee, and it's great to have them on board. Okay, I'm going to also introduce the rest of the committee. If you were at ANZREG last year, you will have met them, but of course not everybody got the opportunity to go to our conference at Bond University last year. So I want to introduce Amelia Rowe from RMIT University. Amelia is co-deputy chair-elect and she is also product development advocate. Thanks, Amelia. I think you're familiar with Stacey given she's doing the chairing, but just to explain her roles, she is also co-deputy chair-elect with Amelia and she also has the role of communications officer. Stacey comes from the University of Queensland. I think Stacey's like royalty in ANZREG. Everyone knows that she's quite active on the list. She'll hate me for saying that. Okay, next we have Lynn Billington from State Library New South Wales, and Lynn is secretary for the committee. Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
she's got a gorgeous background. I actually thought that was her real office at one point, but no. Next, we have our financial officer, Annette Shriver from Macquarie University. So Annette's been on the committee for quite some time. Hi, Annette. Then we have Deborah Fitchett, a fellow Kiwi from Lincoln University, and Deborah is our web manager.
Kia ora koutou.
Thanks, Deborah. And then last but not least, hopefully I haven't missed anyone, we're down to Peter Hopkins from Bond University. So Peter is doing a fantastic job as last year she was the conference coordinator for Bond, and this year she's landed the job of coordinating all of this online conference, and she's done an amazing job. So far so good, Peter. It's all going well.
Thanks, Kate. Hi, everyone.
Right, so I've got some activities that I want to provide an update on. Some of it I'm actually going to read just to make sure I get the detail right, because they're things that I'm not necessarily that experienced with. At the end of that, I'm definitely, we can open up for some questions, and it may be that if there's any really tricky questions, I might pass them on to the committee to help me out. So obviously, the conference this year was not planned to be online. We were very much planning to have it in Sydney around the 2nd of June. Those plans had to be changed quite early on this year. It was early March, mid-March, that we made the decision that we would have to go to we saw the signs, we knew we would have to go to an online event. We were still planning on running it in the middle of June. But as we moved closer to that date, it was quite apparent that the timing, everyone was well and truly in lockdown and a bit distracted, and we pushed the conference out to October. We had it in October last year, so we thought we could hold it again in October. Obviously reduced to a one-day event, so much reduced from our usual conference activities, without Developers Day, Best Practice Day. Really, we wanted to focus on providing as good an experience as we could within the resources that we had. I think the main complexity of delivering an online event is dealing with the multiple time zones, which is challenging enough within New Zealand and the various time zones in Australia, and then having presenters like Osha from China and Itai, who, if you didn't know, was coming in from Israel at some awful hour at about 5 o'clock this morning. So we had to take that into account as well. We do hope to return to a face-to-face event at some stage. I would say it's unlikely that's going to be in 2021. I think best case scenario, that's going to be 2022, because we've still got big issues around travel budget restrictions for a lot of our institutions for next year. And also that question about whether there'll even be a travel bubble within between Australia and New Zealand. So yes, we're thinking it'll be another online event for next year. So moving on to some other activities and where we had some successes, I want to talk about the response to the Central Discovery Index rollout. So there were a lot of concerns early on from the ANZREG community about issues within CDI, and really the lack of capacity for many of our community members during that COVID-19 first wave, with a lot of us very distracted and not able to put a lot of resource into testing. So ANZREG advocated for the extension of the CDI switchover, and to, at that time, 30th September, it's now been further switched, moved on to the end of December. But I do want to acknowledge Amanda Healy, Senior Director of Sales, Australia and New Zealand, and Christina Stone, Senior Product Manager for Discovery and Delivery, who were very responsive to the ANZREG community needs. And also to our Stacey, who did a lot of discussion in the online platform. So just one of the things that I'm really pleased that ANZREG Committee has managed to achieve this year is more regular meetings with Osher Galinsky and Amanda Healy. So if you didn't meet Osher or attend his presentation this morning, say meet, Osher is the Asia Pacific General Manager for Ex Libris, and we have had some really good online meetings with Osher and Amanda online, and they're proving to be a really excellent exchange of information, a great avenue for highlighting and resolving issues from our community. So thank you, Osher and Amanda. Obviously, our ANZREG webinar series has been impacted by COVID-19. We haven't delivered quite the program that we hoped to, but we had to again work with the resources available within our wider community and didn't really want to put a lot of pressure on people to do presentations. And we also weren't sure about people's availability to actually attend the event. Right, so ALMA release dates. This is another thing that our community have been quite vocal about, the January release date, which continued to cause issues across a number of our institutions. Staff availability across December and January at this end of the world, where a lot of people take summer holidays or Christmas, New Year breaks, including our systems librarians responsible for ALMA management and release testing and review of new features is always an issue. So last year, you might recall that the committee requested that the January 2020 production release be moved, with the release update moved to later in January. We submitted that same request for the 2021 January release. And perhaps we put forward a request that perhaps we didn't want to do this every year, that perhaps the dates at this end of the world be just incorporated into those ALMA January releases. We also requested that the January release be either a maintenance release or very low on significant changes, so that we didn't have to do a lot of testing at that time. So we actually raised this discussion in one of our meetings with Osher. He was really helpful raising our concerns with HQ, and he came back very soon after that meeting and notified that after discussions, the January 2021 release was going to be pushed to the second Sunday of the month, January the 10th. And he also noted that moving forward, if the first Sunday of January in future years is before January the 6th, Ex Libris will postpone the January release by a week to allow better preparation and more testing time. So he also did note that for the January 21 release, both ALMA and Discovery teams have confirmed that there's nothing planned that will require mandatory or manual preparation. So that's good to know. What else did we have on? Looking through my notes, I think some other things that are very specific to the Australian institution, micro languages and Primo. So the committee became aware that a number of Australian sites were interested in standard in-system support of micro languages by ISO 639-3. Clearly I'm reading this. And Auslang Indigenous languages in both Primo and Primo VE within the existing language functionality. So this is particularly important for Auslang, which is an authorised mark language source code by the Library of Congress. So the committee has been actively advocating for this functionality over time, and through our INUG report, this was raised in the INUG meetings just before the latest IGLU conference, and also through the Primo Working Group, where we have active members of the committee. And it was also promoted in the Primo NERS 2020 submission by the State Library of Queensland on our listserv. So the committee we're very pleased to report that Ex Libris has been responsive to our advocacy efforts and the community voice through Primo NERS, and the micro language support will be on the Primo 21 roadmap. So well done, that's really great to hear. I'm thinking, have I missed anything? ALMA release dates. I think I did mention that also Stacey, Amelia and I attended the ANZREG meeting before Igaloo, where the issues around CDI were raised. We weren't the only ones who were having issues there. So I do also want to acknowledge the support of Dave Allen and Igaloo for raising those issues beyond ANZREG. So our plans for next year, well, if we all had a crystal ball, it would be a bit easier, but really we are planning for possibly a similar year to this year. Without sounding negative, we're trying to explore ideas for an online developers day or perhaps a hackathon. That's very much in the early stages of discussion. We're just doing a bit of brainstorming around that. We're also looking at topics and gathering topics for our webinar series, which we're hoping will be a lot more active than this year. So starting to pull together those topics. And as I mentioned, planning another online conference, which will be recognising the budget constraints of most of our institutions. So if you do have any topics you'd like to see covered in the webinar series or any ideas on the 21 conference, please share them with your committee. We will be sending out a post-conference survey after this, and would really be great to get your feedback on your experience today, what you might like to see moving forward. I think we absolutely rely on that feedback, and whilst we have a pretty imaginative, proactive committee, it's always good to know that what we're delivering is really what our community is looking for. So if you can take the time to send that feedback would be fantastic. I don't have a lot of other business, but I really do want to finish my chair's business with a huge thank you to the committee for their support. It's been a challenging year for everybody. I mean, an unprecedented year, and for the committee, they have been on board, even though everyone's had enormous distractions. Some of us have been covering multiple roles at our institution, and there's been very little drawback on committee involvement. So I really do want to thank you all. I particularly want to thank Peter on a remarkable job coordinating this online environment. I was nervous, I really was. And it's been excellent, but that's down to planning and testing and planning and testing. So thank you, Peter, and to the rest of the committee. I also want to send a huge thank you to Amelia and Stacey, who are co-chair elects. They are the ones with all the technical expertise, which I do not have, and they are my sounding boards, my experts who help me draft messages and give me answers when I'm floundering, and just also good fun to have. Well, they're all good fun to have on a committee, but I do appreciate that, Stacey and Amelia. And I also want to just acknowledge the entire committee. We do have a lot of fun together. I think every fortnight we meet via Zoom, and we've been doing that for a long time, and we all know each other fairly well, and I think we enjoy ourselves. So I can encourage Rachel and Rashan that they're probably still finding their feet a little bit, but it is a great committee to be on. So leading into 2021, none of us know really what is on the horizon. We're really hoping there might be some sort of trans-Tasman bubble. Not that any of us are probably travelling anywhere, but it would be nice just to open up our regions, even if it was just for a holiday. So I also want to acknowledge the Ex Libris support for this conference. Last year they were really generous with sponsorship. This year we didn't think it was appropriate to ask for sponsorship, given we weren't charging for our conference. So given it was a free event, we thought but we'll save that up for when we have another face-to-face conference. But thank you particularly to Itai for getting up so early in the morning. Osher was pretty early as well, looked like he was possibly still in his pajamas. So but they worked around our time zone, so that's great. So I'm very happy to take any questions or from from myself or from the committee?
We've
So-
got Simon. Simon has given a vote for the Online Developers Day, and somebody else likes that idea too, which is great.
Excellent. That's a great
Yeah.
start.
Yeah, so if you've got any thoughts on specifics, be in touch. And Simon's also followed up as well for a general thank you for the committee's work. I know how hard this is, and it's so much appreciated and allows many of our staff that can get in to attend ANZREG when we haven't had this opportunity previously. Yeah.
Thanks
So
for
those
that
are the-
feedback, Simon.
Hmm.
And I think, look, one of the advantages to having an online event like this is, you know, we had 289 people register. That's way beyond what our face-to-face conference has ever had. And a lot of you are probably first-time attendees because you haven't been able to have funding. You know, it's not easy for people to get funding for travel. I don't think we've had 289 all on at once, but the numbers are really great. So we really appreciate you all registering and attending. Is there anything the committee would like to have the chance to say? You will have the ability to unmute your microphones. So if there's anything you'd like to add there.
You're just admiring Rachel's cat.
Well, I would like to say definitely, sorry, Peter, I think we should acknowledge your efforts as well, Kate, because you are one of those people that's been doing 2 roles for some time now, split time, split responsibilities, pulled in 1,000 directions, like many of us, but you've been, acting UL, is it, as well? So it's a credit to you as well that you've been able to lead the committee so well, and that we've been able to have the achievements that we've been able to get for the community this year, like the January release dates, the micro languages and CDI. So thank you very much for your leadership.
Oh, thank you.
I'd just add one thing. I did send out an inquiry to a few contacts at some institutions about the possible idea of a hackathon with the topic of Alma Cloud Apps. And I have had a few responses which have been in the positive, including some people who volunteered to do some mentoring for those who would like to, develop their skills here as well. So I'd love to hear some more ideas from people about that, and especially if there's anyone who, with some experience maybe in that area, who might volunteer for us to consult with them to get some more planning done around that as well. That would be good to hear from you.
Great. Oh, we have a question. Anna, does anyone have experience of implementing Alma and Primo in a consortium? We have 16 polytechs merging in New Zealand. Wow. And we may tender for one library system. Not sure if we have many consortiums around.
I know in France they do, don't they? They have some big ones in Europe, but I'm not aware.
Oh,
of
Amanda. Hello, Amanda Healy. Sorry. She says TAFE WA. Sorry, you continue, Kate.
No, that's good to know. TAFE WA.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah. It's good to have like a local, someone locally to help out with that. But that might be good to talk about on the listserv as well.
Thanks for that question. Good question. Yes, that's a big piece of work in New Zealand.
Okay, well, I don't think we have any other questions there.